Hey friends, I am dropping in on a Sunday night. How about it? My name is Lisa Mason Ziegler. If we haven't met, it's nice to have you here. And thanks for joining me here tonight. And I have another special guest that's going to be dropping in on us here. Dave Dowling, my good friend, is going to come and we're going to have a great conversation. I normally kind of stand up for this, but I'm just tired of standing today. So anyway, I'm finding my way. All right, so Dave is here, and he's going to ask to join me on screen here. And we're going to just have this great conversation. And so I'm just waiting. There he is. Coming on with me. And I want to just do a little bit of housekeeping before Dave gets up here. Hey, Dave.
Hello, how you doing?
I am really good. How are you?
Doing fine, although I don't like it getting dark early like this. It
You
just
know, Steve
feel
and I were just sitting in the living room talking about that. Holy cow. What do you mean it's only 6 o'clock?
like I'm ready for bed and it's only 8 o'clock.
Uh, anyway, so thanks for hopping on here with me now. I texted Dave at the crack of dawn this morning and said, hey, are you busy tonight? Because y'all, I'm getting so many questions from a lot of my students and just a lot of my followers who are primarily flower farmers about should they really be contemplating taking Ellen Frost's course. And so Dave and I are going to talk about that a little bit. And if you have questions, I want you to please post them. We'd be happy to answer those for you. But before we jump into that, just want to remind everybody, if you are one of our students, any online course, please remember we love it when you comment with the sunflower emoji because that IDs you to other students so y'all can connect. As well as it's really good for us to see so many sunflowers racing by when that actually happens. So Dave and I both met Ellen professionally before we grew to become such friends with her, right, Dave? Isn't that a good explanation of that?
Yeah, yep. I met her 15, 16 years ago when she was looking for flowers to growers to buy from, and I was one of them.
Um, and because of Ellen's personality and characteristics and the type of person she is and what she was pursuing in her business, we were just drawn into her. And, it didn't take me long to figure out that Ellen, I can say this, y'all know, I tell it like it is. And I'm being completely 100% honest here when I tell you that Ellen Frost um, is a grower's superstar. Right, Dave? I mean,
Yeah, every grower needs an Ellen Frost.
if we all
Unfortunately, they're
had
not
an
all out
Ellen
there.
Frost in our town, our businesses would be shoot-ins. So I just want to say this, and then I'll let Dave have a word in edgewise. But what I truly feel like, and this is really true, coming true to me now that I have interviewed so many of her students now in the past few months, is that if you as a grower can't get your customers to Ellen, meaning for them to learn from her, to see why local is so great, how they can market that local, buzzword, which it's so much more than that, then you need to get educated by Ellen Frost. And then you need to be the story that your customers see. Dave and I are dinosaurs. When we started selling flowers 25 years ago, there was competition, but we didn't look at it as competition. We pulled together, but there are definitely more growers. And while I don't think what you need from Ellen is to help with competition, although it will, Ellen can give you the confidence you need to create your own story. So, Dave, you do a little chit chat, and I'm just
Yeah,
running off at the mouth.
I was just say Ellen Frost, her business, Local Color Flowers, if you don't already know it, all the flowers they use are grown within 100 miles of the farm. There's nothing imported. There's nothing from, across the globe. And she's in business 12 months a year. And this is in Baltimore area, Baltimore, Maryland, where there's winter. They've had frost now, but she's cultivated growers to be growing in greenhouses for her in tunnels.
Yeah.
She can make a wedding or an event happen year round, and she does. The flowers change with the seasons, so she's not going to have a peony in October, but come June, boy, she's got tons of peonies, and late summer into the fall, she's got tons of dahlias. Everything's seasonal. I think one of the biggest things that a florist or somebody who does events can learn from her is you never promise somebody, I'm going to give you a red carnation. I'm going to
Right.
give you a red flower. And it's going to be a beautiful flower. It's going to be the freshest thing available that week. But I'm not going to promise you the exact flower. I'll tell you what color and the style it's going to be, and you're going to love it, I can promise. But I'm not going to promise you something I can't carry through on.
I think that's a huge hoop for people, a barrier, because they're freaking out over, they have these brides, talking about florists and designers and farmer florists. You have customers that are bringing you Pinterest pictures, and you have to, I mean, that's a big part of how Ellen helps people that are selling weddings and events. How you find your people and how you ease them in that what you're going to give them is better. But no, I can't tell you you're going to have XYZ peonies in September, right? It's
Yeah,
just so very, very different. And so if you want to see, I actually posted some behind the scenes of Ellen's wedding that they did yesterday,
amazing.
which was really interesting. I mean, the comments that I've been getting, I've gotten so many DMs from people. It's like, who knew how much work went behind the scenes? But what I was actually mesmerized with was with that hoopah, which
Hmm.
is, that frame that in Jewish ceremonies, it's like a representation of their house. It was done, y'all, in the most gorgeous foliage. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have seen that foliage coming out of boxes.
No, no, not at all.
Shipped in is what I mean by that. So please check that out. But what I really want to say to anybody, whether you are a florist or a designer or even a grower, and I wholeheartedly, lots of flower farmers have taken Ellen's course, and the confidence building that comes from becoming more of an expert in your field, because she talks about, I actually printed out something that we have two copyright people on our team now, and copywriters are people that are experienced people at writing that kind of stuff, and they put together this little piece about Ellen. And what's the great thing about copywriters is where I tend to get all caught up in like the things that Dave and I are sitting here talking about, the flowers, the beauty, the growing and all that kind of stuff, they kind of see to the bottom line. And what I posted on my Instagram today was some of the stuff that they posted about Ellen and what she teaches. And I'm just going to read you a couple paragraphs, because when I read it, I thought, holy cow, it's like anybody involved touching a cut flower could benefit from learning how to do this. So it says, to succeed long-term in business, your customers have to understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how it's reflected in the products and services you provide to your customers. In business, this is called your value proposition. This wonderful, powerful tool explains to your customers why they should buy from you instead of your competition. No one understands this better than Ellen Frost of Local Color Flowers, a trailblazing visionary entrepreneur who built a new business model in the florist industry. I mean, talk about wanting to stand out in a pool of competitors. Um, you know, Learning from somebody, Dave, what I was remembering earlier today, remember when the markets all just crashed at the
Oh,
beginning of the pandemic?
pandemic. Yes.
And for about, it gives me goosebumps to even think back about it. The first 10, 14 days was horrible for so many people, Ellen being one of them. I mean, all their events canceled.
Yeah.
But then the community that she had created of these loyal customers just
Gathered around and held them up and
and held them up like
supported
a
them.
bunch of ants, right?
Yeah.
Running and helping everybody else, because those people knew Ellen and they knew Ellen's farmers.
Farmers. Yep.
And it's not that they ever met those people, but Ellen tells that story so very, very great. And
Yeah. Because she had gotten to the point where she had all these flowers already ordered for weddings. The farmers had grown them, And she's thinking, how am I going to sell these? What am I going to do with them? And she decided on the bucket delivery, just delivering a
Yep.
bucket of flowers onto the people's front doors. And she put it on their website and sent out social media. And I think within an hour, she sold over 100 of them. And these weren't cheap little, $10 buckets of flowers. I don't remember the
Right.
price, but it was a profit for her, a value for the customer, and they ate them up like crazy. She sold them in an hour and just
And
continued that throughout the summer.
and that's a result because we could get some traditional florist on the horn here, and I can
It
tell
would
you
never work, never happen.
it didn't happen.
No,
I mean, it did not happen. And
no.
that is because of Ellen's skills of building community, which is such a part of her course. And I'm saying this because I want to just say to no matter what area of the cut flower industry you may be in, there is definitely benefit from this, and something that Ellen has said, and she and I are actually doing a Instagram live tomorrow night at 6 for you to ask, go straight to the horse's mouth to ask her questions about the course, about if you're wondering if, how, when, and if you should, that she has just created such a great experience to share what she's done with other people so that you can do it too. And the other thing I want to remember, say, if you're one of my students or one of Dave's students, or if you're a student of any of our online courses, any of them, and that means that you're a member of our family, and that means you get a special price. It's basically $50 off of all of our school courses. And so that means that Ellen's course is $445 if you're one of our previous students. I mean, that is a drop in the bucket in
Yeah.
investment. Wouldn't you say, Dave?
Yeah. One thing I thought about yesterday when I was thinking about her courses, there's a lot of florists who, you might be a grower, a flower farmer, and you've got florist customers, designer customers who would really benefit from this class.
Yeah.
And they would end up buying more flowers from you because they realize how great it can be if they really emphasize that we use local flowers and we, not necessarily follow the Ellen Frost method, but they do that. It will increase your sales to that florist. In other words, if you had a florist customer or a designer who then took Ellen's class, they're going to be clamoring at your door to get more flowers from you. So my suggestion is, I think registration's until Tuesday night. That
Yes.
means you've got Monday to contact your florist customers that you sell to, your designers, event florists, whatever you sell your flowers to. Make sure they know about this class. And I say, give them $100 toward the class. You as a farmer, pay $100 part of that florist tuition, just because to prove to them how good it's going to be for them and how much it's going to help your farm in the long run.
That is such a great idea, Dave, because, I mean, that's why I was saying in the beginning, it's like, if you can't get your customers to Ellen, then you need to be taught by Ellen. You know that Sue of Creekside Growers, who's up in Michigan, who is like a 25-year veteran of the garden center, greenhouse industry, started growing cut flowers about 7 or 8 years ago. Please go listen to that podcast, to what she has to say about why they're not really doing weddings. They're not really doing events. She wanted to learn she wanted to get in her potential customers' heads. And she said that Ellen Frost is a teacher that is teaching more teachers, more people to spread that message of why local. For me, learning your why are you in this business? Why are you choosing to go local? Learning what your why is. For me, it was about just basically selling better quality. It was like, I knew that I was selling the best quality, the freshest, the longest lasting, the most beautiful, the most fragrant, and I loved doing it. And it was easy for me to sell. I could sell an ice cube to an Eskimo if I could know their story. And that's what I did in flowers. I mean, and you too, Dave. I mean, it's like we just told our stories. So Ellen helps people find their why, how to frame it, how to share it, and how to use it to market, to find your people, whether your people are florists and designers, or if you're a florist and a designer and your people are clients that you're going to be doing events for. And so over on the Field and Garden podcast, which is my podcast, there's a couple of great interviews with Ellen's students. One of them is Becca. And her name of her business is Loca Flora, and she is somebody that owns a flower shop. Amazing thoughts about how Ellen's course helped her. But then there's another one with drive-by flowers and creekside growers. And I mean, I'm telling you all this because I learned how people are taking what they're learning in Ellen's course and applying it to their business and
Yeah.
doing it successfully, right?
Yeah, if they do just a quarter of what Ellen does, as far as marketing her business as a local, sustainable, support the community business, it'll help their business greatly.
She kind of just really helps you to find the power in storytelling. And a lot of people, I find it really interesting. I think that flower farmers, better than any other industry, y'all, we have beautiful fields of flowers to take pictures of, to make videos in, to tell our story, but people still struggle. When I teach the basic class, Dave teaches bulbs, perennials, and woodies, and that's kind of in my class, is helping people to kind of market themselves and get a start doing that. It is fascinating because we've been doing it for so long, you forget how hard it is in the beginning, but that is one of Ellen's strongest gifts,
Oh,
I think.
yes.
Don't you, Dave?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, just the way that she can have a bride come into her, which they're not always a referral of somebody who's been to another wedding that Ellen did, because she's been in the Baltimore Magazine and the different bride websites and stuff, where it may be someone who's never interacted with her flowers at a wedding or an event, and they come to her and she can explain to them in probably 1,000 words or less, whatever, of here's what I do, here's how I do it, and here's why you want to buy your flowers from us. And it works because she's busy all the time, always has weddings lined up and events. And then also people who, one thing that I think is really unique with her is she'll do somebody's wedding, and for the next year after year after year, they're doing this, the birthdays, the anniversaries for that couple. They come back to her for flowers every year for events and birthday parties and stuff, just because the experience was so good. It wasn't like a lot of times you go to a florist and get your wedding flowers done, and you don't ever talk to that florist again because it's just a one-time purchase. You bought your wedding flowers and you're done with them.
that's how mine was,
Yep,
literally. I
you
don't know
never.
that person's name.
Right, but with Ellen and Local Color Flowers, you get that relationship where you're involved with them, you're invested in them, and you want to see Ellen's business thrive. And so you'll be a customer of theirs forever. And that's any business, is your repeat customers are the ones that pay your bills. So by her cultivating the relationship with the potential brides and customers to then become lifelong, long-term customers, it's a win-win situation for everybody.
And so I'm just reading some of the comments. Somebody said, I'm heartbroken hearing designers and florists right now. They need Ellen. Friends, I mean, if they want to save their businesses and revive them with a whole new niche
Mm-hmm.
to really cultivate, I mean, it's really so simple. Really so very, very simple. So I am just reading back to see. So question, Ellen mentioned her dream of being able to purchase from a co-op, convenience. As
Yeah.
a grower, will I receive the same price from a co-op as from a florist? How large a cut do co-ops take? So
Everyone's
no,
different. Everyone's
it,
different.
it,
I know some that charge $1 per bunch, whether it's a $8 bunch of zinnias or a $30 bunch of lisianthus, or it's $1 a bunch. Some are 10% commission, some are 30%. All depends how that co-op is set up. And a co-op means you're part of that co-op. You get to help make those decisions when the co-op is formed. So if it's not an existing co-op, you get together with the 6 or 8 other farms in your area, which could be an hour away from you, but you all get together and make your own co-op. And then you market your flowers as a group to the designers and florists in the area. And I can tell from Ellen's experience, where she used to buy from 4 or 5 different florists or 4 or 5 different growers, when those 4 or 5 growers got together and gave her one big long list to buy from,
she
instead of
buys more.
buying $200 from 6 different florists, now she's buying $3,000 from that co-op a week. So the co-op makes a huge difference for the buying convenience of the farmer, of the florist. So if you're in a co-op, even if you're paying 10 or 15% or 20%, it's going to be worth it because your sales are going to increase phenomenally.
not only that, I mean, your costs are cut. You
Yes.
know, it's
Delivery's
like,
easier.
yes.
Yeah.
I would compare that, Dave, to the difference between selling to supermarkets and going to farmers markets.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you get less money for your flowers at supermarkets, but guess what? I sold to 8 different stores in that chain. They pre-ordered every single week. It didn't matter if it rained. We made them in the air conditioning. We put them in the van and delivered them sold,
Right.
instead of 4 tents, 60 buckets, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. So yes, Clifton Springs Gardens, you will get less money per stem potentially, but you will sell more and you will spend less.
Right.
Um, and so I'm just looking through here. I kind of started in the middle, unfortunately. So awesome interviews, all different businesses. Yeah, please listen. To the podcast, because I was really, quite frankly, surprised by what I was hearing from a couple of them. It's like I hadn't even thought of that, because that's not my potential business. But if you are in the upswing of your business, meaning you're starting out, and whether you're growing or you're a florist or you're a designer or you're a farmer florist, you just don't know what you don't know until you hear it,
Right.
right?
And
um,
sometimes you have to hear it twice before you listen.
or maybe even 6 times. So I'm looking forward to all the future classes. They're all out there as resources. Yeah, there's lots of great stuff. And I'll tell you, the other thing that's really great, Ellen is super attentive to her closed Facebook group. So why I'm saying this is, if you don't see something on the syllabus, or if you come up with a question that, or a problem or a situation that's not covered in the course, you have access to Ellen to ask your question. So I am going to learn more about the course or to enroll, you go over to thegardenersworkshop.com. Ellen's course has a page there. You can read the syllabus, which is just the outline of the class. You can also listen to the syllabus, because Ellen and I did a podcast going through it, just her kind of telling, because a couple of them were like, well, I'm not so sure I know exactly what that title means. What is that? And
Mm-hmm.
she kind of filled in all of the blanks. And, I want to just say it again, Dave, because we have more people coming and going here. Every community needs an Ellen Frost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
And I was going to say, if you're a florist or a designer listening right now, if you think, oh, I'm this traditional florist using all the imported stuff and following the FTD or the book, the pictures I have to do, there's no certain time that you can't change over. You could wake up and go in the office tomorrow, and we don't offer a wedding where you pick every variety of flowers and that's what you're getting. You pick the style and the color, where we make what you need. You can start doing that with the next bridal appointment you have. It can't be, it's not like you have to change January 1st or a year from now.
right.
You can start with the next bride or event that walks through the door and say, we're local flowers only, here's what we have to offer. And you'd be surprised that it does work.
It does. And they don't have to go whole hog.
Right.
I mean, all the florists that I sold to, they still bought tons of imports.
Right.
They called my flowers the real flowers. And then there was the other stuff.
Yeah.
And so I really want people to understand that you can take really baby steps and introduce local flowers, because when you do that, you introduce a whole new group of customers
Mm-hmm.
that come. And, after being on the scene of flowers for so long here, it doesn't take but about 4 or 5 years before people, start, their parents pass away or whatever. And the message that comes through to us is, we were told that only, Lisa Ziegler flowers to be on mom's casket because she loved those flowers.
Right.
I mean, it touches and stays with people. And and this is a great introduction to local. And I loved Ellen's story that she told me. I forget, I was listening to her at a conference somewhere, that she thought she wanted to be a flower farmer.
Right.
And she went to work farming on another farm, and soon realized she wanted to be involved with local flowers, but she didn't necessarily want to be the farmer. And that's where
Right.
her business grew out of. And I mean, the other thing that somebody told us, Cassie actually told us yesterday on my Facebook Live or on Friday, that she felt so empowered by learning some history about American floristry. She said it just kind of poofed me up that I might know something that they don't know. And that just builds confidence, y'all. And that's what it's really all about for some newbie people. So let me just look and see if we have any questions on here. Y'all, if you have any questions about Ellen's course, what might be included in there, I, beyond a shadow of a doubt, recommend to all of my students that I think that Ellen's course would be beneficial to you, to becoming more of an expert of the floral industry, of selling local flowers, meeting and talking, excuse me, to florists and to growers. I mean, what better mentor to have than somebody that is like your customer, right?
Right.
Don't you think?
Yeah, and like I say, if anybody wasn't listening earlier, if you're a farmer, flower farmer selling to florists, and they're not on the local flower drive or your effort, get them to sign up for the class. Send them a link to the class tomorrow and tell them you really need to sign up for this class, and that will increase your sales to that florist.
It's true. And so I see here the Poppy Patch is commenting. I took Ellen's class in January. It was so helpful. It gave me the confidence I needed to approach florists. What a game changer. I'm telling you, y'all, that is, you know what, I talk and write so many different places. It's almost like you're going to have insider trading information, but this is legit. It's not like the
Right.
stock market, right?
It's legal.
It's like you're learning from somebody that you are approaching as a customer. So that's really great. So I'm just looking down here to see if when you buy the class, you have access to the course forever. Do you also get to watch the live each year? So that's a great question. So the lives are recorded. So what she's asking, so the course, let me just tell you a little bit about the course just very briefly. So the course only is open enrollment once a year for 5 short days, November 5th through 9th this year. The class starts the 1st of January. It's over dripped out. The classes are doled out to you in your online library over 6 weeks, a little bit each week. It's about 3 to 4 hours of smaller sessions for you to watch. And at the end of each week, you get a live Q&A session with Ellen. And those sessions are recorded and put into your library. So that means you get also the additional content in those past Q&As, but also the future Q&As, because they're all put into the same place. So all students from whatever year are looking at the same content. So you have lifetime unlimited access. The course is $495. We do offer a payment plan. And if you've taken any of our online courses on demand or our big classes, that means you're a member of our family, which means you get a special link in an email that the course is $445 to you. You have to buy it through that link to be able to get that. But at $500, I mean, it is a no-brainer. And I think Dave's challenge to growers to go to your floral customers. I mean, I don't think I'd go to somebody that doesn't know who I am. But if you have somebody that's on the fence, or their business is struggling, or they're just in good business, I mean, go to them and say, I'll pay $100 of your tuition to take this class to learn how this can build your business. We can build your business together.
Yeah. Back to the online, the Q&A each week. Each year, it's only if the people taking the class that year, but everyone else, the past students and future students, can watch it recorded. But as far as the live part, it's only people in the current session.
Exactly. Yes. Good point. So Blue River says, take the class yourself, start telling your local flower story, create consumer demand for local flowers in your area. Then people will ask florists for your flowers. I mean, Ellen's ability to teach people how to tell their story after she's led you to find out what your story is. And I'm not just talking about pictures around your farm. It's really kind of a deep dive into why, what this all means. And when you find that, it gets really easy, y'all. I mean, business is hard. And business growing is really important if you're a grower, but there's more to the business than just growing. And if you're a florist or a designer, this will change your world.
Yeah. I've been to Ellen's shop before on a Saturday morning. She has her open studio where it's basically you just open the door and sell flowers by the stem. Where now there's COVID, they have pre-made bouquets they sell. And I was amazed at how many people come into her shop on a Saturday morning from 9 to noon just to buy flowers. I have never seen a retail flower shop with a following of people that come in. Like there's a line of people to buy flowers from her on a Saturday morning, which is unheard of for any retail store. It just
Yeah,
doesn't happen. So that's all part of the relationship she has with those customers. Some are former bride and groom customers. Some are people who might have gotten flowers for a birthday or something, but they come to visit and buy new flowers every week from her. And this is even though she is a block away from a farmer's market where they sell flowers, they still come and
true.
buy them from her. That
I've
still always blows my mind.
I've always wondered about that because every time, because she'll talk about popping around the corner to go to the farmer's market to get her coffee and to get a
Right.
Danish or something, Um, and I've always wondered about that. But, and seeing again, I'll say that my mind was just so blown during COVID, during the crash last year, how people just were so concerned about her and her business and
Mm-hmm.
all the farmers that sold to her that they just lined up to buy those porch buckets of flowers. I forget what she called them. Everybody came up with these really
Yeah. It was the
cute
weekly
marketing.
bucket. She just called it a weekly bucket.
Yeah.
And the other thing she
Uh,
did with that, if you remember, she then made a YouTube video every week showing how to put that bucket of flowers together into one or two
yes.
vases, which I can guarantee you no retail florist did that. But
Yep.
because she did that as her business, it drove sales and drove confidence in her business.
So it's a great class for marketing, and we're going to get off here, y'all. I just want to say, for my part of this, to say, hands down, any designer, any florist, 100% would benefit from this
Yes.
class. But I want to add that I believe that any person in the cut flower industry can benefit from this class. The marketing, finding your why, crafting it, and finding your people, and the confidence that comes from that is pretty dadgum priceless. So, friends, you only have
Yeah.
until Tuesday at midnight. And I think Dave's idea, if you have a floral customer that's buying a little bit from you, you know, this might be your opportunity to help them see why you can provide more and why they should, you know. So I see Scott for the Flower Podcast just joined us. Scott has one or two excellent podcasts with Ellen. And there's just so much content out there, y'all. But we're here just to say, yeah, you can take our word for it. I was going to say you don't have to take our word for it, but
But
you
you can.
should. But you should.
Yeah.
All right, friends. So, Dave, thank you for hopping on here with
Yep.
me tonight to help get the message out. And we know everybody's hyped. Holidays are coming. They're tired from their season, but you better jump on the bandwagon now, right?
Yep. Always good to see you and good to help.
All right. Thank you, Dave, so
All right.
much. Friends, gardenersworkshop.com and find Ellen.
All
Ciao.
right. Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Good night.